If it weren't for that Musa, I wouldn't be standing here now. I'm still not quite sure what to make of him, though.
I'd watch my step with him. He doesn't believe in God like we do. God knows where he's from.
He saved me.
He helped us. Maybe he was helping himself at the same time. We'll see.
Exactly. I do not think it is so black and white. What is so funny?
Nothing.
You look so pretty. Sitting there, on that bench.
You can see my cleavage better, eh? Nice view from above.
Can't deny. It really is a delightful sight.
Just watch your eyes don't fall out of your head, youngster. You man. In the middle of a robbery and still you only think of the one thing.
By the way, that buxom lass that you were with?
What, Catherine? Come on. She's old enough to be my mother.
So what? I think you could do with a bit of mothering.
Just by looking at these scenes, even without touching the game, I'm sure you can feel the characters radiating their energy through the screen. But this? Well, I mean these are not the only things that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 excels at. The graphics, the ridiculous yet enjoyable mechanics, the humor that permeates through every word written in the game, and so on. These are the reasons why I played 94 hours of this game, or 90 something, I forgot, within the span of 2 weeks. The last time I spent so much time and effort into something was back in high school, which says something because if this game is as immersive as an institution that needs you to go every day and spend 8 hours in, that is a damn good game. But enough with the terrible analogies and vulgar jokes, I'll stop yanking your pizzle, and now, let's get into how Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 got me addicted.
Besides, you're too old for him. Nobody will believe your lies.
Old am I? He came to me himself because he wanted a mature woman to breed with. And he never even pulled it out. And he filled me up like a wineskin. Suit yourself.
What? There's a story in this game? Alright. You are Henry of Skalitz. In the first game, you were just a normal blacksmith's son. But throughout the game, Sir Radzig Kabla is unusually nice to you in your adventures, and turns out you are the bastard of him. That being the son between a noble and a commoner. As the story goes on, you slowly become the squire and bodyguard of Hans Capon of Perkstein. A lot happened in Kingdom Come 1, but if you just want to enjoy the second installment, all you really need to know is that this is your dad, this is your lord, and these are the guys that helped kill your mom and your stepdad. This asshole even stole the last sword that your stepdad forged for your actual dad. Very simple, right? So now in KCD2, which is only a few days after the events of the first game, you're on a mission with Hans Capon to deliver a message to Sir Otto von Burgo, or Burgov, because people in the game pronounce Burgo in 2 ways, but who cares, okay? In order to convince him to support King Wenceslaus instead of King Sigismund. Along the way, the group gets ambushed and Henry suffers from a fall that resets his skills. They lost everything including their money, and now their chamberlain only sees them as peasant beggars, which in terms of appearance, he is correct. Subsequent events unfold under this premise. Although the story of KCD2 is full of twists and turns, I think the real attractiveness of the narrative lies within the characters, and most importantly, their depth. Father Godwin is the embodiment of the indomitable human spirit, laughing at the face of death, yet he was supposed to be a boring priest.
The Lord be with you.
I'm a fucking Jew.
It works on fucking Jews too.
The Dry Devil is a repulsive-looking and behaving person, yet his charisma can outshine all of his other shortcomings.
If it wasn't for you, I'd still be getting worked over by those bastards in Sigismund's camp. You saved my arse, fellas. Although, I have a second hole in it now because of you. Ouch! Fucking hell! My leg, damn it! You idiots!
All of the noblemen, with the exception of Sir Hanush,
I don't give a fuck.
speak politely regardless of how twisted and selfish their intentions are. Disregarding the one-off NPCs, no character in this game can be described in one word. Every important character in the game has impeccable voice acting. Remember the first few clips of the video? These are only a glimpse of the 25 hours worth of voice acting or motion captures. And this 25 hours, they do not include the in-game voice lines. By which I mean, like, you know, you're not in a cutscene with them, you're not in a dialogue kind of version. You know, you can still move around while the other character talks. You know, you get it, right? You get it.
My respect.
Any movie or TV series would fail miserably at dealing with so many characters properly. Yet, KCD2 beautifully utilizes its media format. It's a really long game, and with so much time and content, it has the leeway to include dialogue and actions that will make everyone multidimensional. As you go on in the story, the astute eyes among you will realize that your allies are likable and they treat you like family, but they're not without flaws, and vice versa for the villains. Everyone has their own motivations, and so nothing feels forced or artificial. Another thing that causes the characters to feel so human is the humor of them. A lot of games like to either take themselves insanely seriously, or have all the characters share the same sense of humor.
You and your chum best be headed the fuck out now. Straight on from here. Gonna walk you two out.
Come on, V. No reason to hang.
Think you can stand there and bark orders at me? Fuck the fuck off!
Please make your way to the exit.
Apart from V sounding like a twat in this cutscene, I would also like to add that this is not like a strength or speech check, it's a corpo check. So like, V chose to be like of a corpo origin, and then she can just tell people to, oh, fuck the fuck off, and then the NPCs suddenly listen to her. Like, it just doesn't make any sense at all. Like, I played more Cyberpunk than KCD2, but I still feel that the game has cringy dialogue at times. But I digress. The dialogue and interactions in the game just feel so much more real. Like, I can't even describe it, just watch.
Open the gate! Hand over Radzig's bastard! And I'll let the rest of you leave! There is no such person here!
The only games that come close to having such depth in characters that I've played is Witcher 3 and maybe Baldur's Gate 3. And I mean, come on man, Baldur's Gate 3 has like 2k hours of dialogue. There's bound to be some good content in there, right? And it really shows how perfectly written KCD2 is. And I would also like to add that those games' characters are not as likable as the ones in KCD. Though, I would say that a million words by me is not as powerful as just watching one scene of the game. To fully understand and experience KCD's characters, you just have to play it yourself. The only way that I can condense the 25 plus hours of voice acting and dialogue into an expression is that when I ended my 95, okay, I just, when I began writing, it was 94, now it's 95, it's probably a different number now, whatever, okay. When I ended my long-ass playthrough, I felt like I was saying goodbye to friends, rather than finishing a game. Another thing that people like to talk about for KCD 1 and 2 is the realism of them. Certainly, that sometimes is the case. There are realistic aspects in the gameplay. You get hungry, you can't sleep in others' beds, NPCs react when you're naked or stinking.
Hey, did you forget your clothes somewhere?
Go on, have some.
Oh, at your mother's place when I was shagging her.
My word.
But Henry can also haul the entire armorsmith's stock out of his shop at 3 AM while being undetected. He can carry 3 metric tons of goods. He can fight continuously for hours on end while starving. He can gaslight guards into believing that the guy he brutally murdered is a bandit. All of these things are immensely fun and entertaining, but not an ounce of them are realistic. I'd argue that the magic of KCD does not come from realism, but rather a combination of interactivity and immersion. This is what I do, baby. I do this in university as well. I just produce big word salads that don't constitute to any speck of productivity. Gaben also has something to say about realism in video games.
Where you'd be sitting in a design review and somebody say, that's not realistic. And you're like, okay. Explain to me why that's interesting, because in the real world, I have to write up lists of stuff I have to go to the grocery store to buy. The point I would make is, if I go up to a wall and shoot it, to me it feels like the wall is ignoring me. So does this, like, to me I was trying to convey to the user a sense of, yes, you were making choices, yes, you were progressing. If you shoot at a wall, there have to be decals. If you kill a bunch of Marines, the Marines have to run away from you, right?
Okay, I just watched the KCD2 video from Kelsky, and I swear to God, I didn't rip him off, okay? He used the same video I just showed you, but I came across that video from Gaben, or maybe that video of Gaben, myself, okay? I didn't copy anyone. Please, trust me. Anyways, what Gaben said is precisely my point. Too much realism is just not fun. Now, KCD has a lot of fun, hence, KCD2 really isn't all that realistic. What KCD is, though, is that it's very interactive. In the example I gave, Gabe says the player shoots the wall, and then there's a decal on the wall. Now, there's so many things that you can do in KCD, and the game rewards you or punishes you so well. There's one time in the game where I robbed an armor smith. Then like a week later, I was waiting on the streets to wait until the NPCs woke up so I could do quests. Then, since I was wearing stolen armor in public for 12 hours, the guards caught me, and now I have to return everything and pay a fine and suffer a reputation penalty on top of all that. The game knows your actions, and the developers have programmed sophisticated mechanics to let the player feel seen or recognized. In playthroughs on YouTube, I've seen people be able to poison others' food, rig a horse race by damaging the horses beforehand. That's kind of immoral, but whatever. You can disguise as a member of the enemies by wearing their uniforms. There's so much variety in approaching quests, though poisoning your weapons or other convoluted stuff is mostly optional. I just really turned my brain off and used my warhammer to whack my way out of problems at the end. My strength and heavy weapon skills were just so high that I could kill a horde of enemies while starving. Speaking of skills, as Henry you can spend time grinding skills, such as picking locks, which is a part of thievery, blacksmithing, brewing potions, fighting alongside your dog, that's called Houndmaster. And now at the surface level, these activities sound boring and repetitive, but the game has a leveling system that makes everything worth it. Now technically speaking, leveling up on skills doesn't really do that much on their own. For instance, if you have a higher alchemy level, you don't have to follow the potion recipes as much to make a strong potion. That's cool and all, but the real dopamine hits come from the perks. Stop from time to time to get out of the hustle and bustle of everyday things and just contemplate the world around us. This is one of the paths that lead to wisdom. As long as you remain still, your energy and nourishment will reduce much more slowly. People tend to think better of other people who have a dog with them. It may seem strange, perhaps short-sighted, but that's the way it is. When you have your dog with you, your charisma is increased by 3. These perks are the perfect combination of humor and immense power. It's late at night and the NPCs are asleep. Just stand in the middle of the street for 12 hours. Henry's a contemplative man. And yes, these perks are also the reason why I said this game is not realistic. There's a perk called Explorer, where if you read enough books and have high enough scholarship, you become omniscient. You just suddenly know everything on the map. It probably shouldn't be in the game, to be honest, because one of the most fun things to do in this game is to find interesting sites, such as enemy camps or shrines on your own. And revealing everything from the get-go kind of defeats the point of exploring the map. Having those clouds really does make the game feel bigger and more exciting. Kinda like the fog in the old GTA games. Kinda like how the OF girls always keep something on, to keep things mysterious, to keep the cash flow going. This joke is written in homage to this clip.
Those were the days, man. Even hearing a snippet of background music in the most unlikely of places can put the brakes in pretty much anything. No, really. For example, a few months ago, I was settling down to enjoy some incredibly high-quality Rule 34, where one of the Mortal Kombat chicks was about to fuck another one with her 3-foot cock, because as you all know, I'm a man of culture. When all of a sudden... Wait. No fucking way.
Spread your legs for me.
Son of a bitch. In case it's not obvious, World of Warcraft completely dominated a period of my life.
In hindsight, my terrible joke is completely diffed by this clip here. This clip is one of the most funniest things I've seen online. Period. When I first saw this, I was just stunned, bewildered, awestruck even. Hats off to you, Dev, or Short Fat Tutaku. Whatever people call you, okay? Like, hats off. Respect. This is definite proof that our generation lives in a Gooner simulation. I just can't. Okay, why did I include this here? Okay, this is so off topic. Okay, just listen, okay, listen. The perks in this game are amazing. Having Mutt fight alongside you, drinking beer such that you can pick a hard lock, and other bonuses are so fun that it makes grinding for them enjoyable. I enjoyed brewing potions and smithing horseshoes because of those perks. But if you don't like grinding skills, you can just not do it. Again, there are many ways to do things in this game. If you're not a big fan of riding your horse everywhere, you can fast travel. If you don't like to make potions or weapons, you can simply buy them. And in the late game with all the perks you've unlocked, that slightly improved homemade gear is a nothing burger. You're unstoppable regardless. The graphics in KCD2 are the best looking piece of digital art ever made that I've ever seen that can be run in real time on a GTX 1060. Now don't get me wrong, this game doesn't look ugly at all. It looks amazing, especially the architecture, man. You know, the sunlight bouncing off of the walls under a clear blue sky and so on. But KCD1 looks 90% as good. If I were to nitpick, I can point out all the subpar indoor lighting, the reused character animations and dialogue, and the object pop-in when you're traveling. Compared to $2 billion budget AAA games made in 2025, Kingdom Come doesn't stand out graphically. But the thing is, video game graphics have reached a point where the improvements are getting more and more subtle, while the hardware requirements still increase steadily. For most gamers and developers, the best graphics simply is not worth the hardware required to run it. KCD2, however, is in a sweet spot for graphics where it looks pretty good while being very, very easy to run. Seriously, the 1060 is a 9-year-old graphics card and it can run the game on 1080p, low settings, 60 FPS. Yeah, the shadows are blocky and they pop in right in front of you, but come on, a modern game at 60 FPS on hardware that's nearly a decade old. You gotta hand it to the developers. And that doesn't mean rich gamers with NASA PCs are gonna waste their PC's potential. You can still use DLAA at 4K, Ultra, Max settings, whatever it is, and the game is still gonna look spectacular. In other words, the graphics of this game are beautiful, stable, and scalable. Truly a rare sight to behold in 2025. The soundtrack is amazing as well, but you know, there's nothing I can say that can beat me just playing the OST, so here you go. Moving on, let's talk about some of the shortcomings of the game, the difficulty. Now, the difficulty of the game is not that well designed. Everything that's hard in the game is due to two reasons. Either you don't have enough levels for a skill check, let's say you have low alchemy skills, then you're just completely unable to diagnose an injured person. Or you don't have the knowledge on something, like you didn't know that you can feint your strikes, you didn't know how clinches work, you didn't know where an enemy camp is, and you're spending 20 minutes doing a search in the forest, just looking at the grass sway. These are kind of the boring challenges, ones that don't require mechanical skill but require a Google search outside of the game, or grinding. Now these things really do harm the immersion because they literally take you out of the game and straight to your web browser. In a sense, KCD2 is better than the first game since now you have Mutt, your dog, to track things down for you, but sometimes the game just doesn't do enough for new players. The tutorials they kinda suck, you know? On the other hand, you get too strong in the later parts of the game. I get that one of the attractions of Kingdom Come is the feeling of improvement, of going from zero to hero, but getting so strong that you can kill dozens of enemies solo in the endgame is just too much. It also makes poisoning your weapons, spiking the food of enemies, or stealing their gear at night kinda pointless. You can just whack their head, so why do all of that? Both KCD 1 and 2 have issues with difficulty, and it's slightly disappointing that KCD2 hasn't made a meaningful nerf to some of the perks. Another aspect that has stagnated is the combat. Now, the most egregious part of KCD2 is the basic combat tutorial. It teaches you to hit things straight up, and then perfect block, and then riposte. After all of that tutorial, all of that banter with Hans,
let's go and strip. Henry. Fellas, come.
You still don't know how to dodge. You still don't know how to feint attacks. Don't know how to charge your attack. Don't know how to do a clinch, which requires you to spam attack, while the game does nothing to indicate that spamming attack is the thing you are supposed to do. I only know to spam attack during a clinch because I did that in KCD1, you know, it's like instincts. But new players wouldn't know that, right? While the most fun combat skills are taught in the very exciting side quests named Combat Training 1 and 2, a new player can definitely miss these important things because after all, it's a side quest, it's optional, you know, so they would miss out on master strikes and combos, you know, two of the most, you know, sophisticated. I don't even know if you can call it that, you know, like, they're not that hard to do, but within the game, they're already very advanced, you know, so players really shouldn't miss them. And from a lore standpoint, it doesn't even make any sense. Yeah, Henry did suffer from a high fall, but are you seriously telling me that he remembers how to read, but not how to swing his sword left, right, left? Like, getting a sword was the entire premise of the first game. These combat tutorials should be accessed easily. And you should make them mandatory too, because, you know, the thought of people missing out on how to do a master strike just sucks, you know? The weapon variety, though, is an improvement from the first game. Polearms, crossbows, and guns are new in Kingdom Come 2. The ranged weapons are pretty cool, I like them. The crossbows and bows and the guns are fun to use, you know, they're good.
It's got quite a kick, eh?
What a load of bollocks!
Hitting something with that would take a miracle.
It's a miracle we still have both our arms.
Aye. I once saw it rip a bloke's face off, along with half his body.
Such an accurate shot. From how many paces?
None. He was the one doing the shooting.
Sweet mother of Jesus.
The melee weapons are a bit weirder though. A polearm is just not handy at all. The selling point of it is its reach, right? But the enemies can just still hit you with their short ass mace anyways. The heavy weapons are really limited in combat. There's only 3 attacking directions, and with them, all you can do really is just clinches and feinting your strikes. Combos can be done, but by the end of the game, you kill enemies in 1 or 2 shots. And combos, to perform them, you know, you do 3 strikes, right? So when you one-shot people, there's no point in doing a combo, right? Swords are the most interesting to use because they can master strike. Shields are there, but if you use them, you're pussy. Now, I did my playthrough with the brain-dead heavy weapons, you know, because I don't really play the game for the combat. But even so, I've seen people say that using swords are really easy as well, so yeah. This game really doesn't have the most sophisticated combat ever. Another pain point would be the inconsistent quest variety. Now, the quests in the game are separated as main, side, or tasks. Remember when I said every one-off character has depth and is interesting? Now that's because in the game, there's one series of tasks where you just go around the map and kill wolves for shepherds. Like, you go to point A, and then Shepherd A will tell you, oh, you gotta kill these wolves. And then once you've done that, Shepherd A will tell you, oh, you know, like, the other Shepherd in some other place needs help killing wolves too. You know, and then you go there, and then they give you like $10 and 2 carrots. Now, in this series of helping out shepherds, I remember one of the tasks was actually pretty fun to do. You can talk to the sheep, and it's kind of funny. But apart from that, the remaining, like, shepherd jobs are just not fun at all. It's very repetitive. Now, you could argue that it's the pinnacle of realism, and it simulates the boring life of medieval times. But from a fun standpoint, there really are some amazing and cool side quests and tasks in the game. Putting low-effort missions, like the shepherd missions, pollute the pool of good content. And the people might go, oh, the last task I did was just to kill some wolves. So maybe I'll skip out on some side quests, and bam, the player will miss the good stuff. So I'd like for future Kingdom Come games to trim some of the filler content. If we overlook the repetitive quests, which is actually a minority, this game has some banger stuff. You'd think medieval life is dog shit, but here, you can get drunk, you can solve murders, you can get into a horror mission. Yes, a horror mission in a grounded, realistic medieval game. I'm not gonna spoil any of it because it's worth it to go in blind, so try to play as many side quests as possible and skip some of the tasks if you find them boring. Finally, I'll ramble through some of the other aspects of the game that should be included but are not significant enough to warrant an entire chapter. The game is not that buggy. It is janky, like the animations or transitions or dialogue start and end somewhat abruptly at times, but they're never game-breaking. My game has never crashed, and I'm using a 50 series Nvidia card, so that's pretty good. In terms of story and characters, I'd say it's a step up from KCD1. I feel like the writing has improved and the cutscenes have better composition. But in terms of gameplay, KCD1 was already pretty amazing, and KCD2 simply maintains that variety and feel to it. So, if you were to get into this game, I'd advise you to play the first game, which is KCD1, before going into KCD2. The first game is cheaper, and gameplay-wise, it's similar to the second one, meaning that if you like or dislike KCD1, you'll have the same sentiment towards the second game. Another tip to enjoy Kingdom Come is to not be afraid to look at guides. Sure, spoilers should be avoided, but things like which perks to pick, combat tips, and things like that can dramatically improve your playthrough, especially if you're complaining about the combat systems. All in all, I thoroughly enjoyed my playthrough of KCD2. I'm already missing the characters in the game, so I'm planning to start a hardcore run soon. And so, that's it. Thank you for watching. Or should I say, coming.